Welcome to another episode of Conscious Reconstruction. I am the host with the most, aka Tony Milborn. I'm joined here with Just Charles, aka the most host. Ash had a sudden life event happen, so
unexpected causality.
Yeah, so she's unable to join us today. Yeah, being a parent. So, life is life.
Good job being a parent.
A pretty good episode still planned for y'all today. We're going to get into some of those old antiquated sayings, that people have. But
Whatever
first,
floats your boat.
How's your work week, Charles?
Restarted after my grandfather's passing. So it's like the only thing that I didn't stop doing was working out with you. But for the most part, outside of that, everything else had to hard stop because we pretty much had to rip apart my grandmother's entire room, rip apart my grandfather's room. We had to spray for bugs, all this other stuff. And it's just it was a lot of tedium and also dealing with family stuff. And this is the reason why it's it's also the irony of it. Because don't you know those rock necklaces that they wear? They're supposed to get rid of bad energy. Everyone was wearing one and it did nothing as far as I'm concerned. It's just these get rid of all the bad energy. Do they?
They did. They brought it right to the surface and then got everybody to release it. And then after that, hey, all right, well, now it's out there.
Also, the other thing I've noticed is when it comes to the energy thing, it's just everyone's just yeah, I want people who around me who give me good energy. It is just don't you want to give off good energy yourself? No, I want all the energy. I need their energy. I don't want to give them any.
No, I want to give off good energy. But that's a shit. That's probably not even that's a new saying that is terrible.
Whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
Bad energy?
Bad energy shouldn't float your boat.
Bad energy floats a lot of people's boats.
Should not be the boat floater.
Oh man, I don't necessarily do the energy thing in nauseum. So,
what about the time heals all wounds? Do you do that?
Well, slavery has some things to say about that.
I mean,
it's it hasn't fixed those wounds. That means I don't necessarily. I mean, time technically heals all wounds, or you'll die. One or the other thing happens, you die, and then your wounds aren't healed, and it doesn't matter, or your wound got healed. And it's more so your body doing the healing of the wound, not necessarily time. I understand you're talking about more so emotional wounds, but
yeah.
But it's I don't know. It's a giant. It's all a giant crapshoot as far as I'm concerned. I'm gonna be about more nihilistic as of late. So,
why is it a giant crapshoot?
Oh, I mean, it's just I don't know, the entire situation. Most situations are kind of a giant crapshoot because it's just the sequence of thoughts that I went through is just well, time heals all wounds. Well, it kind of doesn't, because to a certain degree, people like to have some degree of closure, and a lot of people like to know why. But then when some people learn why, it kind of makes the situation worse, and it doesn't actually give them any semblance of closure. And I would say, therapy heals probably a lot more wounds than time. So you actually doing nothing doesn't change anything 9 times out of 10. It typically makes things worse.
True.
It's people saying time heals all wounds just kind of comes across as just time heals all wounds. You mean you just kind of sitting still and letting que sera, whatever will be. It's just and then you're I'm an emotional wreck. I don't know why this is. Well, you never actually got any semblance of closure for anything. So, surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
You're an emotional wreck.
No, that's fair. I think that time doesn't necessarily heal all wounds. I think it sometimes provides this space to teach you how to cope with them. Now, not always all those coping mechanisms are positive or productive or should be things that you keep as long sustaining. But I think that it does allow for coping. I don't think that it necessarily provides the healing that people are looking for. But if you just want to kind of cope with something and get through it and be able to go through your daily life, I think that time kind of gives the space for that.
I mean, yeah.
But I don't know if that's actually what we should be striving for.
Yeah. I mean, it depends upon what you're using the time for. Are you using time to gain perspective to actually help you deal with the situation ad nauseum, which is a possibility, and that's fine.
I mean, if you're using the time for that, then you're probably working towards healing. But I think that...
But that's still a very proactive approach.
Yeah.
And what they're saying seems like a very passive approach, if you get what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, no, what I'm saying is I think the passive way of it is...
La-di-da-di-da.
Like, let's say you have a situation that happens in life. And sure, it's traumatic or whatever, but you just choose to, like...
Lock it in the box.
Not even that. Just, like, continue forward and, like... have those emotions, but eventually just kind of, what is it? I guess get to a point where your daily life is more of a primary concern than that negative trauma, where you don't necessarily, it doesn't affect you in the same way, where you might not have necessarily healed from what happens. Like if somebody brings it up, there's triggers and things like that that could still send you there.
You distance yourself from it.
But you've distanced yourself. And I don't know if that's necessarily the best
still haven't
way.
solved the problem because you could still end up inside of these very triggering circumstances randomly.
Yeah, but I think that's what time provides is like a distance from the situation.
Time allows you to distance yourself from all wounds. All right, that's our new saying.
Yeah, because you definitely can get distance from the wound, but it doesn't necessarily allow you to like heal. Because as soon as that trigger pops up, you're like right back in that spiral, still like feeling away and still, I guess, still back to the same person that you were before you had all that time and distance. And then sure, you'll spiral it in, and then you'll go back to having that distance and feel like, all right, well, I'm better now because the spiral's over. But those triggers are still out there, and you probably should work on like addressing those. And I think that's probably what we need to change the slogan to, like, for real healing. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, what heals all wounds? Understanding, I guess, or acceptance.
Actually putting effort into fixing the thing as opposed to just kind of letting it be there. Whatever that effort may be. Because you have to put in work to heal these things. You have to put in work to actually fix your family. You have to put in work to actually show someone you're sorry. None of these things just are. Like I was over the week, because I've had various family members that have done different levels of wrongs to different people within my family and to me. And it's just like, my sister and my mother is just like, oh, you have to forgive them. And I'm just sitting here like, no, I don't. I don't feel like I do. Honestly, until these situations like this, I don't have to deal with them.
That's very true.
So why do I have to? Like, they only pop up when circumstances are bad, or when they pop up, something bad inevitably happens. So why would I even want them around? This is very vexing to me. So
they're like almost a bad fortune at this point.
Yeah. Even though they come around with these rocks that clear out your energy. It's just like, I don't know. I hope I'm not necessarily offending anybody in particular, but the pure irony, the primary benefactor of all the bad energy inside of my family, pretty much coming from a person who sells things that are supposed to get rid of bad energy, is just the purest level of irony to me.
I mean, just because you sell it don't mean you believe in it.
Well, I mean, they're all about it.
Are they a good salesman? A
Not
good
really.
salesman to convince you that they're all about it.
Just because you sell them doesn't mean you make money off of them. It's just like,
I can't speak to that.
but it's just one of those things.
How do you feel about forgiveness? Do you feel
Forgiveness
like
and
forgiveness? Yeah. Do you feel like it's for you or for the other person?
Depends upon what you're doing. Giving it out is for you. Asking for it is all. Well, regardless, it's probably just for the person more so than it is it's whomever who is asking for it and are giving it. So if you're asking for it, I don't necessarily always think it's just like you're asking for it because you more so need them to forgive you, and if they're giving it, oftentimes people are asked to forgive people, but they're not doing it in their own time because you don't need to ask for forgiveness in order to receive forgiveness. If you get what I'm saying,
Yeah.
you can be like, you know what, I forgive you for what you did.
Yeah.
And it doesn't require you to ask for it. So it means you're prompting for forgiveness. A lot of times you haven't even done all the requisite things,
The work
that you need, because if you did all the work that you needed to do in order to receive forgiveness, you wouldn't ever really need to ask for it.
That's fair. I feel like if you ask for forgiveness, it's definitely there's a level of disingenuous nature to it. Like you do something to instantly, do you forgive me? I don't know. I don't think I do. I feel like you probably could have done something different.
How about we figure out? How about you do something else for a bit, or actually show me that you deserve to be forgiven?
Yeah,
Because forgiveness is just like you are absolved of all your past sins, and it's like not everybody deserves absolution. It's just like, okay, I don't necessarily, like, for case in point, I don't necessarily believe that rapists deserve to be forgiven. It's just like, but it's just, so it's one of those things. It's just like, well, I'm gonna go to the person I raped and ask for forgiveness, and everything else is all right, right? No.
yeah. No, see, like things like that. I'm like, I don't really think that's like a forgivable thing. Like, I think the person that was raped can probably like let go of their anger and their like vitriol for the person, but I don't necessarily think that is forgiveness.
That is moving past, not allowing a singular event to determine the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Whereas, so that means it's just like, oh, but you're not absolved of any of your guilt. You did these things and you should deserve to live with them for the rest of your life.
Yeah, no, you did this to me, but I also needed to move past.
I'm not going to stew in this for the rest of my life.
This can't be me. So no, I'm not worried, and no, I don't hate you for the rest of my life because that would affect me. But you, I don't forgive for doing, like, there's no level of like me understanding or making this a tenable situation.
Yeah. So it's understanding the separation of those things.
You know, I think that there's no level of separation in a lot of society today, especially with two men. It's probably gonna get us killed. But let's talk about some feminism.
I mean, I'm for the most part a feminist. It's most, as a friend of mine would describe it, I am, because I am for the equal treatment of all people, and that is what feminism ideally is supposed to be. Now,
yes, I agree with that statement.
So it's just like, because feminism pretty much goes around, because if you're a feminist, you're supposed to be pro-black, you're supposed to be pro-everyone, pro-gay people, so on and so forth. Now, does everyone necessarily walk the walk that way? Not quite.
I was gonna say, do you think that feminism today looks like that?
I think that there are so many different. Feminism has become a movement that is very
disjointed.
Yeah, that is a better word for it. It's become very disjointed and a very individualistic, and it is no longer a single It's just not a very similar movement situation to where the African American pro black movement is. It's very disjointed. There's a lot of different heads to it. And there are a lot of different people pushing for doing this in a lot of different ways. And there's not one unified push.
I can see that because I definitely feel like there's like, I guess what sparked this for me is like kind of looking at the term misandry. And if you don't know what it means, it's the opposite of misogyny. So it's the overall vitriol and prejudice against men. And so I kind of feel like some feminism leans towards that than really focusing on like leveling the playing field, but more so focusing on like pushing men down. And like, I guess some of the instances I would point to is like the woman that was going around with like bleach and like a water bottle and like on a train just spraying
I don't think
guys.
that was actually real, but because there was also a person filming it the entire time. It's just like, I don't know. There are certain things, but if you look at it,
unless she did it to like make a point and wanted to put it out and say, look how many people I could do this, because I didn't follow the story. So I don't know. I'm going to just suspend disbelief and say it was real. But I guess I know a lot of other people who are like man spreading became a thing. It's when you sit like how you're sitting right now.
I can understand it to a certain degree, but it's like, I don't know.
I can't.
Is just the way that I sit to a certain degree.
Atomically sitting with my legs closed is uncomfortable.
Sit like this.
I can sit with them closer, but they won't be closed like a woman's legs are closed.
But my hips also won't really let me.
Yeah, because there's something in between that means that we need a certain level of separation.
But I can, like, when I sit on like a subway or any kind of public thing, I sit.
Yeah, sure. You can not spread all the way out and be.
But when I'm sitting by myself, I'm gonna sit with my legs open. Yada yada.
Yeah, that's a little more comfortable because just naturally as a guy, there's something in between that. You know, if you give it a little room, it just feels more comfortable.
It's not even that. It's the gait of my hips.
It's because of the way that our bodies are anatomically set up. Because that's why all men sit like that.
Oh, but it's like, I don't know.
I'm not sitting like this, like, damn, let me take up all this space. It's never my intention or my thought process. I'm sitting comfortably. Like I'm sure anybody else sits down and
also at nauseam, I'm not gonna sit like that when seats are at a premium. And I also hate infringing on other people's space.
Yeah, so, like no. So sure.
I also don't like people touching me. So I'm going to naturally, regardless, man, woman, child.
Yeah, kind of like.
So it's like I'm gonna as a bigger dude is just like I'm gonna construct in as far as I can, and then people are generally going to.
I'm gonna sit in about this far. Like this is about as close as I'm getting together. Any closer than that, and I'm uncomfortable.
I think as long as my legs are within the dynamics of my shoulders, I think that is reasonable. So like you see if you could shoot a straight line from your shoulder forward and you can like sit past there, generally everything is fine.
Yeah, I feel like that's pretty good. Like I'm in line with my shoulders, so you should be all right with this. Like,
but also at nauseum, the world isn't built for somebody who's as tall as I am, so it's also kind of annoying in that way.
True, but I guess the subsect of feminism that I'm talking about doesn't necessarily care how we're built or what is going on. It's just like, no, y'all had it so good for so long
that y'all now have to be for that long.
The one on the bottom of the totem pole. And I'm like, well, that's not necessarily where this was supposed to be going. Like, I'm all for
all right.
Equality and like supporting women's rights.
I'm all for that, but also at nauseum, let's not lie and say that all dudes had it all the same for all this time. Let's be real. White dudes had it good for a really long time.
Yeah, but that's not how they treat it. Like, no, you're a black man, so you have it better than black women. So now we're just picking things arbitrarily?
Is like, I guess to some capacity, like, yes, typically black men broke into certain industries before black women did. I guess that's a thing. But there's nothing I can really, but also ad nauseum.
None of the way that we moved into industry was not set up, designed, or created by us. How about that? How about the fact that it was male centric was because white men decided that, not black men. We didn't architect a misogynistic society. If y'all really want to get down to the brass tacks of things.
So, I mean, yeah, we got ourselves in there, but black men at nauseum have never really had the capacity to change anything in terms of outside of, unless they run their own company and it's like a black owned company, yada yada yada. Yeah, then you have the capacity to change things because it's your company, and at that point, if it's a misogynistic culture, it's what you decided for it to be. Completely and totally reasonable if that's the overall critique of it.
Yeah, but
most of these things are ruled by white dudes.
It's like,
but like it feels like ad nauseum, white women don't want to accept the white part of that. They just want to. They wanted to be the man part of that, and if you look at it, it's just like, no, it's just white dudes. White dudes like are like that.
Yeah,
like it's like, oh, frat boy culture. You need white dude culture. All the black friends I know don't fart in each other's faces.
No,
we will all be very upset. That's like a fundamental.
I'd be very mad.
It's just like
I would fight Charles for real.
It's just like, what is wrong with you? Like, oh, that's so great. No.
If he got up and just, ripped one right in my face.
Like on purpose.
I'm going to hit him with my fist.
It's just
on purpose. Just like he farted in my face on purpose, I'm hitting with it's fist and feet time.
It's like, it's one of those wild things. It's just like, oh, one just kind of slipped out. What is wrong with you? It's just like, get the hell away from me. But if you just stand up there and you like methodically set a trap to fart in someone's face, it's just like,
yeah, like I'm sitting on the couch right now. Like if Charles just stood up, walked over here, turned around, and bent over and farted in my face.
It's just like, well, this is fighting. These are fighting circumstances.
All right, bet. We got to fight now. You clearly have challenged me to a fight. And
in the most bizarre of circumstances.
Yeah, but I'm with it. I'm here now. Because
you can't just be running around farting on people. But that's not something that we do in not even our culture. It is just like,
no, not at all.
Because everyone's looking at like these kind of frat dude cultures. It is just like, it's like, this isn't our culture. It's not something that we do.
And I'm not going to say that black men are super like absolved for all this.
Although we're not always the most progressive of people.
Yeah, because there's definitely things that we could be more progressive on. But if we're going to talk about
Christ, do black men do not like the connotations of possibly even being considered to be somewhat. It's like, are you gay?
I had an argument. I called my uncle gay.
Which guy? Uncle?
The one that's homophobic.
It doggone hollow to a certain degree.
Because
isn't he like super paranoid about not being gay to an outrageous?
No, not paranoid about not being gay. He just doesn't like gay people. I mean, my grandfather was like homophobic, but a lot more progressive than his son, which is weird. Like my grandfather could conduct himself around like my uncles and everything like that and be like completely fine. His son, however, couldn't. I'm like, but the older one,
which has more reasoning to not be the way he is, but to inside of some capacity, he looks at this like, this is my son. I want him to be happy. It's just like, I wasn't raised inside of a society where this was acceptable or even thought of, or just it wasn't out there like that. It was there, and but it wasn't just out there like that. So I am not equipped to deal with this. Now, one would also say like, well, sucks for you. And that's pretty much what it seems like your grandfather, that's the stance that he took up on it. It's just like, this sucks for me. This is what he is. And I want my son around. So,
well, no, my grandfather's daughter's husband's brother is gay. So my aunt's husband his brother is gay.
Okay.
I grew up with them. Like me, my mom, and my uncle that's gay lived together all in the same house.
Okay.
So that's why I'm so close to him. So I wanted him and my mother to get married and to date, and never understood why they refused. Like I would actively have conversations with them and tell them that this is what needed to happen, and they would always laugh it off and tell me no. And I never understood. What the fuck y'all mean? No. Y'all, you live here, nigga. Be her man. I'm trying to have you as my daddy. Like,
you understand how great it would be?
Yeah, this would be perfect. I love you. I love her. Y'all be together. And this would be perfect for me. And they would be like, no, we can't do that. And laugh it off. Now I completely understand why that was not an option. You don't like women. So, got it.
Makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I completely get it.
You should have just did it for the healthcare, though.
Yeah, man. But no, but no, that was my favorite uncle. And so my grandfather, we would always go over to like his house. Like once he moved out, he had like a nice big house and everything, shit like that. So we would go over there for like the holidays. My grandfather was super polite and just well mannered. My uncle mad that we here. Yeah, like why are we over here? And I'm like,
I think that comes probably from like there's certain things about olden times that are like not so great, but then there's other things that are kind of okay. Like you don't disrespect a man inside of his own house. So it's just like, why would you like? Yeah, I'm just out here wilding out, and your grandfather's like, you don't do that in another man's house. Like that's out of pocket. It's not polite.
Yeah. That might be it, because he definitely did not. He never once was disrespectful in their household at all, like at all. And like I've heard him have conversation and be like, his favorite saying is, "You happy as a fag in sissy town."
What?
Like
what is that?
It's very flagrant. It should not be said. But yeah, no. And so it was just. So I knew that he could get to that way, but when he was there, not a word like that. So,
I mean, maybe he's just not. I mean, human beings aren't binary.
True.
There's also always senses of gradation with everything.
Yeah, a lot of nuance.
So, and it seems like your uncle just kind of lacked a lot of that nuance when it comes to dealing with a lot of things. So, whereas your grandfather had that level of like, I can be there.
Even though he definitely called my cousin the F word and said that's how he ran. And then that spiraled into a whole litany of issues for my cousin, because then he was like, well, if my grandfather thinks I am and my dad says I am, then maybe I am.
No, that's not how that works.
All I know is I understand what you're saying.
That's not the way things.
But
how old was he when he said it?
Probably like 6 or 7.
Oh,
in no way, shape, or form capable of understanding the nuance.
No nuance there.
Nope. So just kind of like went with that, and so that became a thing later on in life.
It's just like, well, maybe I am gay. No, probably you would know.
I mean, he identifies as that now.
Oh,
so I'm not exactly, but then. There was a whole situation with that as well, with like him running away and like being on meth, we are pretty sure, and like going crazy and like being in a mental institution and like not taking his medication and hearing voices and thinking that, you know how what are they called?
No.
Smoke detectors.
Oh.
You know how they have that red flashing light to let you know that they're working? He was convinced that was recording him. Yeah, so me and him would sit down and have conversations, and I would talk to him and like logic him out of it. And he's like, and he would very calmly say, he's like, when I'm talking to you, I understand exactly what you're saying, and it makes me feel better. But as soon as you stop talking to me, the other voices start talking to me, and then I get to feeling the other way that I felt before. And I was like, well, fuck, I can't
logic some things.
Yeah, I can't be here all the time to be the voice of.
Do you want a recording of me saying this?
Like it just came.
You should just recorded yourself saying it. It's just like
Shit, I
put it on
was
cassette and said Tony smoke detector talk, Tony this talk, Tony that talk.
how old was I when I started like recognizing that? Probably like 22, 21.
So like a little bit after military.
It was started to be a little before the military, and then when I came back, I would go down to California. Every time I would go down, I'd make a point to see him. But no, it was in 2010. So I was 20.
Oh.
So yeah, not the most adept to deal with his
situation in hand.
Yeah.
Like there Yogi
Yeah. Because he and then I left, went to the Air Force and then Seattle, then came back and he was fully on.
Just out here?
Yeah. Like I said, he had disappeared and was gone for at least like a year.
Oh.
And like he would randomly like contact us because he had our numbers, but like we would never have a number. Shit, right now, the only reason we know where he's at is because he's staying at like he's been at the same place for like 5 years, and it's a hotel that they turned into an apartment building for people who get like disability checks and shit like that. And so he just stays there. And I think that he had to move to a new building because they were getting rid of that one. I'm not exactly sure, but then he like decided that he was mad at everybody or didn't want to speak. So then he just got rid of his phone and stopped talking to us for like 6-7 months. And then he wouldn't talk to Rochelle, but he's also huge. That nigga's like, how tall are you?
6'2" about.
He's taller than you. He's about 6'3".
Oh.
And maybe about 250.
Yeah.
260, big boy.
So you can't necessarily.
So the woman that kind of like helps and knows him and everything goes up there. We don't ever want her to be like, oh yeah, no, don't go upstairs. Like if he's not willing to come down, because if he's in one of his moods and attack you, you can't fight this nigga.
Yeah, in general, if you're a woman, just stay the hell away.
Yeah. So, like I said, and
even for somebody like me, that's a legitimate engagement. It's just like, I'm probably gonna have to hurt you.
Yeah, no, if I fought my cousin, I'd have to really hurt him. Like I'm stronger than him, and I know that like
I can, but that's the overall problem. I don't particularly want to.
I had to remind him that I am still the stronger of the two of us before, and like you gotta calm down. And he's like, all right, and so it was cool, but I also know that you a big nigga, and if I go into this, I'm gonna have to go into this looking at you like you just a nigga and like put you in your ass for real, because you bigger than me, and that's how I gotta treat niggas that are bigger than me. I can't play with this.
It's just like the longer this is drawn out, the worse it is for me and you, more than likely. So
yeah, so
I'm just gonna like kick you right on the button or hit you right on the button, and you just make sure you don't fall super hard.
Yeah, like because I'm not doing this with you. No. So yeah, but yeah, so. That is, I don't know how we got onto that, but I guess that leads us to men's mental health.
Oh, we were talking about feminism, and I don't think we finished the feminism conversation.
We can go back to feminism because I don't know how we got to this.
I think it was something to do. Well, we were talking about ad nauseum. This was a kind of a white dude thing.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of like, we moved over this way.
And then this story came out.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You guys got a family story. Yeah.
But I don't know. I think ad nauseum and feminism at its core is fine. But, I said like, I did a comparison between feminism and the culture of like, for Black people.
Oh, yeah.
And I gave the example that Black people don't necessarily like gay people.
And that's how we got onto him. And that's how we spiraled.
We moved into your family and yada, yada, yada.
Oh, but no, I definitely like that parallel that you brought where it does seem very disjointed, like the Black movement right now, where it's like you don't have any real like direction. It's like, all right, we're doing this. Or there's some, like even in the Black movement, there's some groups that are like, looking to put down white people. They don't want really equality. They want to be like, I hate Caucasian people and these people are terrible and this is why they're bad and this is what I'm focused on, which I would say is the same thing as this misandry and feminism. It's like
I've ran into black women who just randomly who just dislike cisgendered males in general. And it's just like, I don't know. I can't really control that I'm a cisgender male per se. So I don't know what you really expect me to do about this, but it's like, I'm also not going to pay a tax to be around you either. Like, but you don't support us. Like, I mean, do black men ad nauseum support black women? No. But also I exist inside of a situation that's where it's always been diametrically opposed. Like both my grandfathers have always set my grandmothers up pretty well. Like I recently had a conversation with my father. Is just like his father taught him that there are certain things that you were supposed to do for your wife. Like car is always taken care of. You wash your car, you do all the things, you do all the home improvement things, you cut the lawn. You know, there's just shit that women should never really be expected to do. And to a certain degree, I guess that was a similar thing that was passed on to me, but I didn't necessarily notice it. But I guess it's just like I have definitely sat with my mother's car more than she has, shit like that. Because I think you do similar things for your mother. It's like whenever a car has to go to the shop or anything like that, you do it. She doesn't normally do it from what I've seen. But it's just like, so I've always been
I guess I do them for different reasons though. I don't attribute them as like things that a guy should do for a woman. I just attributed them as things that I do for someone I care about. Like, I don't really think that, for me, sex doesn't come into play in that. I guess so much for like how it does in those situations where it's like,
yeah, it was very much a husband and wife type of dichotomy.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I don't know, my grandfather always took care of my grandmother, both sides, yada, yada, yada. So it was just kind of like, even though both relationships were kind of toxic in their ways because there were 50s relationships. And I feel like all relationships in the 50s were kind of toxic. Like, they definitely weren't perfect.
That's fair.
But, yeah, so it's just like, I look at this as just like, oh, I feel like my family members have, for the most part, done what they were supposed to do. But it's just like, well, your family's not all black men. It's just like, well, those are all the ones that I know and not that I can actually really be in. Like, you don't call out your friends on stuff. I mean, ad nauseum, my friends are actually pretty progressive. But, I mean, and then it's not like, also, it's just like, I don't call out my friends in front of people because I don't necessarily think, because at that point I'm scolding them. I'm not actually trying to improve them inside of what, like me making a scene about them doing something wrong isn't me trying to fix the situation. It's trying to, it seems kind of showy to me.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, if you chastise me in public, I'm more likely to like respond negatively. In a negative way and be more challenging to that and be like, fuck it, I'm gonna double down. Then if you come to me in private and like, hey, you did this earlier and I think these certain things, and I'll probably be more willing to listen to you because it doesn't seem like you're trying to like
reprove you or make a point or
use me as a way to like show off. And it's like, I'm not about to be like
a prop.
Yeah, no.
So it's just like, which is kind of seems like a lot of people want to see. And I kind of get the similar vibes from black people when it comes to dealing with your white friends. It's just like, you got to scold them immediately about that. It's just like, that's not going to lead to overall improvement. That's just going to lead to people doubling and tripling down about them being wrong, unless you're inside of an entire group of close friends, which is largely a different scenario. But so I don't know. Do you want them to approve or do you want them to feel bad?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people just want people to feel bad and don't necessarily want to engage in the conversation. I guess that's where I feel like the main point of feminism has gotten to, and not even necessarily, I won't say the main point of feminism, the most popularized version
vocal
version
element
of feminism. The one that we see the most is seemingly the one that doesn't want men to have a place of equality, but to be like less than, because it feels like they were less than for so long that now it needs to be like reversed. And it's like, well,
you need the inverse for a certain amount of time in order for them to catch up.
Yeah, and it's like, that's not necessarily how this is supposed to work. We're supposed to, make this a level playing field, but that doesn't mean that we.
I mean, are you saying we should rip out all the infrastructure that men kind of put in, and then certain things? Because it's like, I will admit that there are certain things that probably dudes shouldn't be. There are certain people that dudes probably shouldn't be paying any attention to, or there are definitely elements or dudes that are allowed to be around that they probably shouldn't be around, or they shouldn't really still be around, because they've just done wild things and they shouldn't be allowed to skate on it. But you also gotta be, it's like sexual assault allegations. It's like, in an ideal world, we could lock someone up based off of the allegations. But inside of this world, which is definitely not ideal, we can't do that. Because the moment, if we were to start doing that inside of this world, the moment that becomes a palpable thing, or a possible weapon that someone could use to turn against anyone, really, or it would completely and totally undermine it would just undermine a lot of the other assault allegations in a lot of ways, because everything is going to be viewed with like, oh, what's your face said she was a liar, so how do you know she's not a liar? So it's just like, there's no easy solution to any of this, just like there's no easy solution to like rectifying the situation that African Americans in. There's no easy way of dealing with the wage like there's some ways of dealing with the wage disparity, but there's no easy way of dealing with it. It has to be put forth probably through law more than anything else. And it's gonna take a lot more nuanced approach. And that's also, I mean, with this most recent special election, with us being around there, what's Chantel Brown winning, it's just kind of like, ugh. Because I'm very, very progressive and I voted for Nina Turner, and it was just kind of like, it's very odd to me. It's like,
this is a very backwards place. It's not progressive really at all.
Yes. It's like, y'all kind of really want the same thing that we've been getting. Like, to a certain degree, I can understand when your choice is between a moderate and a conservative, I'm probably going to choose the moderate. But when your choice is between a moderate and a progressive, I don't understand why you didn't choose the progressive. And it's very despondent to me, because it's like, it's ultimately like the thought process that I've come to is just like, I don't think old white people and old black people are as different as they think they are.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, they're dumb, but it's just like, I think it's an entire generational problem. It's not necessarily as localized as we think it is to like.
No, I think it's generations. I think it's a generation.
It's not localized to race as one would like to spin it as.
No, it's old people are conservative.
Yeah, it's just like, it is one of those things where it's just like, why? How does she even win? Oh, and then I had somebody that's just like, well, you can't be insulting Joe Biden and expect an entire precinct that overwhelmingly voted for Joe Biden to be like down with it. And it's just like, huh? It's like, I mean, I voted for Joe Biden because
The two options were shit and shit, and I chose the less shitty of the two shitty options.
Yes.
And the fact that she can recognize that these both options were shitty, I thought would be a good thing. That's kind of
the person that I need. But y'all are looking like, oh, I didn't vote for him because I vote for him because I actually thought he would input some change. Like, oh, I don't trust him at all.
No, he's not doing anything.
I mean, he's done some things, and here trying to get this infrastructure plan put through. But the entire thing about this infrastructure plan is they, it like we can't even trust. It's just like we elected someone who was supposed. And in Arizona, we thought we elected someone who was going to be a progressive, and then they kind of flipped the script and they took a meeting with the Koch brothers, and they came out and they're like, I suddenly believe inside of the filibuster and all these other things. But you literally said you were down with the cause like before you walked into that meeting, and you walked in that meeting and walked out, and now you're not down with the cause. Either you got bribed or blackmailed.
Yeah.
But it's just like, ugh.
Yeah, no, I actually was gonna bring that up is because I was looking at it, I was like, that's crazy that they
it's just like, and it's weird because everyone knows it. It's just like, so we just gonna let this skate?
I guess they are. I don't. It's shitty, but do you think it's gonna pass?
What'd you say?
How do you think the bill's gonna do?
At some point, like the buck is gonna have to pass, and it'll probably vote on party lines, and hopefully Harris will put it over. Because the funny thing about it is the infrastructure plan would actually do what most people want us to do, which is generate jobs. That means people. I mean, well, one, I lightweight don't think people actually want people to generate jobs, because as much as people say that they want more jobs, they actually don't want more jobs, because the level of complaining people are doing about, like Burger King closing at 10 p.m. and shit like that, because you can't get people to work the shitty shifts now.
Yeah.
It's just like people are incredibly upset about these things, even though they're incredibly new admins. Because if you remember, like post 19, like throughout the entire 90s, like we really didn't have 24-hour shit. Like hell, even in the early 2000s.
I mean, out here, I guess.
Like, yeah, out here, not like it's out the Midwest and nauseam. Probably in like California, like, yeah, liquor stores are probably open till 4.
Me coming out here and shit clothing so early, even as a kid, I was like, what the fuck is this? What is going on, mommy?
Why is Burger King closing at 10?
Why can I not go get stuff later at night when I still need things? My life doesn't end because it's 10 p.m. and I just get in bed and close my eyes, and now it's time for sleep until 8 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning.
It was the ultimate thing that my father put up to me, is just like, like the world stop. It's just like nothing's going on in Cleveland after 10 p.m. that's probably any good. It's like, what do you mean? And then you look around and it's just like, you know what? There is actually nothing productive in Cleveland going on after 10 p.m.
No. I don't understand. I don't like it. It bothers me. I miss things that be over 24 hours. Like, I used to love that the grocery store by me was 24 hours.
And then the pandemic happened, and then they realized they don't actually make that much money overnight.
Bro, they were open for 24 hours since I was in the 10th grade. Yeah, like...
And then they realized that
you could go there, you could get... I love grocery shopping. And it was like me, Marcus, and Miles, when we would house sit from our grandmother here or from our aunt when they would go out of town, we would walk up to the grocery store at 2 o'clock in the morning and just wander the aisles and get us some little Tortoni's pizzas and shit like that. And just come back to the house and be chilling and kicking and watching anime and shit. We can't even go get no grub in the middle of the night no more. Like... This is so ghetto. I hate this place.
It's probably never going back to the way it was now. Like, Walmart's not even 24 hours anymore.
I know that. I don't... they stopped doing the 24-hour Walmarts a while ago, though. Which...
There were a few.
Yeah.
Like, the one in... I
don't think 24-hour Walmart is a good idea,
Lyndhurst, but... I didn't necessarily... I don't know why Walmart needed to be 24 hours.
I would steal from a 24-hour Walmart. It just makes sense. Who's going to be there at night on a late shift that's really like on it?
I mean, one, I hate to tell you, most Walmart people aren't on it in general. They don't care.
Yeah, true, but
it's just like, what are you doing?
It's just even at night, like you only got like 10% of the people inside the whole fucking building. So like the chance of you like seeing me, being able to get to me before I get out the door, is just like,
what do you do? He chose an entire box of Choco Tacos. Who cares? Yeah, it's a box of Choco Tacos. What do you mean? Like, we got a whole box of Choco Tacos on the floor, like right now.
Yeah, it'd be fine.
Sitting there doing nothing because some kid just spiked it. Like, Walmarts are such a freaking crapshoot.
I hate Walmart. Walmart is so dirty. I don't shop at Walmart. I only shop at Target, I'll be honest.
Target.
Yeah, Target. And it's only because I know that their prices are more expensive, so not a lot of people go there because they're like, oh, that Target's expensive. I'm going where you've been priced out of because I don't want to deal with a lot of people. The only thing I really
buy from Walmart are underwear and socks. Other than that, I don't go there.
I go... See, and I feel like you spend too much money there.
What?
You spend too much money there. You got to go to Marshall's, bro. Marshall's, TJ Maxx. The only place I get with underwear with socks. All my underclothes, Marshall's, TJ Maxx. They got them for the lowest.
Right around the corner from mine.
They have it, bro. Like, you can get like 12 socks for like $4 or $5.
You lose a lot more socks than I do. So because I don't feel like you like...
True, but still the cost benefit analysis to getting the same 12 socks that they're going to charge you like $20 for because it's going to be Fruit of the Loom when you could just get like Adidas or Fila or it'd just be like a different brand. And you're like, oh, you guys make socks too? Cool. I'll wear your guys' socks.
Everybody makes socks for the most part.
Yeah,
anyone who makes shoes makes socks.
But not everybody carries their socks.
It's like, it's randomly expensive Nike socks.
Yeah. And you can get all kinds of good socks there for a decent price. So that's where I go, especially for that underwear, undershirts. Yeah,
I see my undershirts from Dillard's.
Really?
Yeah. Huh. But I also, this is an undershirt. So it's like, they're relatively like thick. I buy them because I need them to wear under dress shirts because, I don't like pit stains.
Oh, that's fair.
That's like one of my big person's pet peeves is like, yo, can't be doing the pit stains no matter how hot it is.
No.
This looks bad. It's just a bad look on big people, no matter what you do.
Shit, it's a bad look, period. I hate pit stains. And I get them bitches bad, too. I'd be like, oh, my God, what's going on?
Well, the only time it's acceptable to have pit stains is probably when you're working out.
Yeah, that's normal. But
it's just like, I mean, you're aspiring to pit stains here.
You're just you're
just out here out and about.
About to go to a fucking interview and now your arms are sweaty so you can't lift your arm up really? Man, that's be the word. Like, I'm gonna sit with my arms closed and
whenever I go to job interviews, it's like air conditioning on full blast in the car.
Oh yeah,
the whole time.
Can't. We're not doing none of that.
Like none of this good old air. I get the air after the interview.
Yeah, and then I'm taking this dress shirt off as soon as I can because it's just gonna make me hot. I already got the undershirt on. I'm fine.
Yeah.
You get off of me because I'm gonna get you sweaty.
In any event, what else we got? I guess I can kind of waylay over this the baby thing.
Yeah.
Since we were talking about black people ad nauseum. All right. So what level of culpability do you give to the fact that as African Americans, we should not assist white people in kicking another African American when he's quote unquote down? Even though Dababy was very, very up when all of this happened.
I guess it depends on what he did.
So context is key.
Yeah. Like if the thing that he did is, let's say he finessed the company out of some money. I was supposed to do a show, didn't do it, and then started shitting on the company.
Whatever. I'm not going to kick him for that.
Yeah, and so whatever the white community wants to do with that, whether it's to cancel him from other festivals or move him, shit like that, cool. But I'm not kicking his back in, and I'm kind of laughing at y'all. Like, he caught y'all. Like, that's kind of funny. But when it's something that also is directed at our community, it's like, sure, you could get it past if you hadn't have been also shooting at your own people. Because it's not like there aren't gay homosexuals that are black. Like,
it's like, that's, I don't know. And I guess that is ultimately, quote unquote, the demographic that I guess the African American feminists that don't want to be around cisgender males ad nauseum are talking about. It's just like, because he is black, he gets a pass on everything. And it's just like, no. Just like, what's the foot shooter himself?
Oh, Tori. And I guess my issue is, I guess, with the people who are like, oh, we should give him a pass. It's like, not only are y'all trying to give him a pass for the homophobic things that he said, but you're also trying to give him a pass for the fact that he brought out someone who is potentially an attacker of a black woman onto stage right after that black woman performed. Like, as she was getting off, they were coming on. So you're clearly trying to antagonize this woman. We're just going to gloss over that as well. Because, like, it's not that he just said the one thing. Like, he had a whole just shitty...
It's like, this was an entire shitty vibe for a whole show.
Yeah.
And it's just like, also, I don't know if y'all are paying attention to this year. I don't know. Like, Meg Thee Stallion is highlighting a lot of these random... festivals. So I don't know if you want to just go pissing her off, because ultimately she's a larger name than Dababy is.
Well, they were pretty equal, because it was like, she was like, when they first came up, her and him were like, which is another fucked up thing. They played like they were like work husband and work wife. Like, you know how the woman that's your work wife or whatever. Yeah. It was like they were the work wife and work husband of the industry. Did songs together, things like that. Played around. So it's like, so for you to be...
Yeah, the pure irony of, like, because he literally did pretty much the entire... he did half of Crybaby, basically. I mean, depending upon how you want to think about it, I was literally just listening to it. It's just like, I mean, you rap longer on this than she did.
Yeah, so it's like, y'all have done stuff together, and it's like... You decided to, like...
just running with him.
To make this a thing. And it's like, well, why, sir? You didn't have to make it a thing. Even if that's what you're going to do, you're clearly trying to, like, make a point to, like, I don't care how she feel, I'm rolling with him. Cool. But why are you doing that?
Well, one, that's running with him probably isn't even cool. It's just like, she's fed. She put food on your table.
It's not cool, but I think everybody able to make their own personal decision. So sure, do your own thing. But the fact that you feel like you need to parade it in front of us is weird.
Yeah, it's like you're making a point. And it's just like, I hate the gays and I hate the black women. It's just like, well, only person you got left to ride for you is like dudes.
And once the women leave, dudes is soon to follow behind, because they follow behind women. So, I mean,
we're not going to be at your festival show looking at a bunch of other dudes.
And that's not what it's going to be.
And also, I hate to tell y'all this, your music's not so good to the point where it was carrying anything to begin with.
Yeah, like, no, I feel like people are getting kind of tired of the baby because it's all the same shit.
It's just like, it's a combination of a lot of things. It's just like, and the sad thing for him probably is like, yo, this was probably your last hurrah year or close to it. So
we're also randomly watching Summer League, and
if
Detroit was smashing OKC,
and then they're not,
and now they're tied. They were definitely like up 125-9.
All three of the top three draft picks played today, so the day was actually kind of a summer league type of day.
Yeah, but
in any event, it's just like, I don't know. It's just like, I'm not gonna ride for him. I have no particular. I'm a weirdo, and I hold my colleagues probably to a higher standard than I hold random people. And if you are going to pitch him to me as a contemporary, you have actually probably put him to a higher standard than you would have if you just said, this is a person, he is fallible, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. because it's just like, yeah, I can agree with all those things. He is fallible. He's apologized twice. I think they were probably, but they're less disingenuous than the Kevin Hart apologies, I would probably say as of this point.
I don't know. I feel like there were maybe more. Like the first one, he said, y'all didn't try and teach me anything.
It's not my responsibility to teach you.
That's not an apology. He said, y'all didn't teach me what was wrong. So that's a lie. Questlove wrote a whole soliloquy about how he would have loved to have you on this festival if he could do one because someone asked, and then he explained why he wouldn't feel comfortable with that now. That's a teachable moment. That's something that you should take in and learn from. But that's
also,
not what you wanted to do.
People tried to attack Questlove after he said something, and I'm just like...
Dababy did. Dababy is the one that just would attack, like...
And
I don't know you, sir. And then all of his the baby stands that are cool with him doing whatever were basically saying the same thing. But it's just like, so there were people trying. You had fans trying to teach you. You had your gay fans trying to teach you. You had other artists trying to teach you. You had Chris Brown saying, "Hey, you should just go out there, stick to the music, thank them for the show, and then go in." So these are all teachable things. But you said, "Hey, no one tried to teach you." That's a lie. So you're not apologetic. You're just looking for a way not to be like the issue of this.
Accountable.
So I don't think it's a good apology. I feel like it's just like the Kevin Hart. It's like y'all niggas don't want to be accountable for your own actions.
I think with Kevin Hart like apologizing for his own material, I think he did legitimately apologize for that, and then he didn't do the Grammys and all that other stuff. But it's like,
my thing, I guess, with the Kevin Hart is like, I'm not really so much mad at the apology. It's just
the reaction to people not being aware that you gave an apology.
The back and forth. If you had apologized before it became a thing and people weren't aware, I would have just kept directing them back to that and saying, I've already apologized for this. If you missed it, this is where it's at. See Exhibit A.
The Exhibit A. Sorry, guys. I'm not going to give
I'm not about to continue to
revocalize my rationale on these things. I will just give you a real quick I'm sorry and then point you to the more detailed thing.
Again, I said my bad over. I've already said this. So
it's just like,
and clearly I'm not making those type of jokes anymore. So I don't know
I've long passed these things. It's not like I've doubled down on any of this stuff. I've not gone back to these types of jokes. And I've admitted the fact that it's just like, yo, I am punching down, and I'm also like, it's not really acceptable. It's not really needed. It's not something I need to do. I'm way more talented than this.
Yeah. And so it's like, all right, you could have done that and I would have respected it. But it's like you did the whole, I'm not apologizing, I'm upset. And then you did like an apology tour. And then you took the moral ground of, I'm not going to apologize, so I'm not going to do the Oscars. But then apologized. So I'm like, well, why did you not do the Oscars? Like, I don't understand what the point of that was. Like,
I don't think one, doing the Oscars is not really all that important.
No, it was one of the things on his goals, his personal goal. Like, if you ever which is crazy because I listened to his book. And so if you listen to his book that came out maybe a year or year and a half before all that shit happened, he talks about how one of his goals is to host Oscars. He's like, it's just something that he wants to do. He's seen all the great comedians do it. It's something that he just wants up under his belt. So for him to get it and then to meander around with this, I guess I just didn't respect that about it. It's you do a lot of
I think he does a lot of
politicking.
Yeah.
He's like a celebrity politician. You're always looking for the right angle and to try and say the right thing, but it doesn't ever seem like it's as genuine as it could be. And I guess that's kind of seeped into his comedy now, and I think that's why people don't think he's as funny as he was.
I mean, I've never been the biggest Kevin Hart fan because, it's always I'm a short guy type things, and it's just well, this is perspective I'm never really gonna get completely. You're kind of funny, but it's yeah, you're short. But that's only going to carry you for so long.
Yeah, I think his first 3 specials were good. I think that I don't know. Catwoman is better. If like I'd pick the 2 that kind of came out around the same time. He's definitely made more money than Cat Williams, but of the 2 that like has a better grasp of the craft, I would probably say Cat Williams is.
I would probably say Cat Williams overall is probably a better storyteller.
Yeah,
because it's just like he can set a scene, he can get you there. Is he like Cat Williams can suck you in better?
Yeah.
Whereas with Kevin Hart, you're just laughing at circumstance.
I feel like you also have to be like looking at Kevin Hart. Like I couldn't really just listen to him and some of his jokes and find them funny. It's like he's more of a like physical humor as well. Like he's gonna make the face and everything like that. That's going to like complete the joke.
It's helped sell it. So that means he's more of a live type dude than he is. Whereas I don't know, like the bar always for me is Eddie Murphy, and it's just like even with the wild and dangerous and the parts of it that people say that haven't particularly aged well, which is the gay jokes, like the weird thing about that entire routine is you could argue the gay jokes are the weakest part of the routine. If you cut them, it's still like it's a great special. It's not like that was the only thing that was funny in the special.
Yeah, not at all.
It's just like, no, this entire thing, you're just funny. Right. And I don't understand how this is 20 years later and everyone knows all these jokes, but they're all still funny.
My favorite joke is still him talking about going over to Africa and getting him a bush bitch that don't speak no English and bringing her back here and then having to keep her away from all the American bitches because if you let her get to an American bitch, they gonna have her in the kitchen, teach her English, and then you go come to her and she go like, Eddie, I need to talk to you, Eddie. What you do for me lately? And I was like, that shit was hilarious because he brought it all the way back. Like, that shit was a hilarious fucking joke. I love that. Like, I love Eddie Murphy's Raw and Delirious. Both of them are great.
It's just, I don't know. It's like prime Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle probably even still, but.
My favorite Kevin Hart one, not Kevin Hart, Eddie, what is his name?
Dave Chappelle?
Martin Lawrence. Is the one. So, do you remember back in the day we were probably maybe
like kings of comedy ages
9, 10 to like 13. Yeah. And where Martin Lawrence was like outside running and like in a tracksuit, but he also had a gun and like he was talking about them niggas was trying to get him.
I don't remember this.
All right, so Martin Lawrence was in the news because he was running down California in Los Angeles. I think it's Los Angeles Boulevard. I can't remember exactly. But I believe it was in California. It was hot as fuck. He's running in a full sweatsuit with a gun talking about them trying to get me. He ends up getting arrested because
California and you have a gun.
And also, what are you doing? And like there's some other like little scandalous stuff that had come out or just wild stuff about him. And then that was the special after all that he came back and he like talked about it. But my favorite joke from that is like him talking about it's like how he had this wife and he came home drunk. He's like, baby, make me a drink. And so the more he drink, the crazier is the shit that he say to her. He said, you used to be a round-away girl. Now you just all round. He's like, if you gave 50 pounds and you wasn't 150 pounds when we got together, I shouldn't have to deal with that. Exactly. Like just wild shit that you might think as a husband, but you would never say to your wife. Like if she gained an extra 50 pounds just out of the blue, just like, this is not exactly what I had signed up for. Like you ain't had no kids. So I don't really understand how we got here. But all right. I'm not really going to say nothing disparaging to you about you because I love you. I care about you. And it's probably not that big of a deal, but I probably am thinking about it. So
am I a weirdo who I don't necessarily understand the purpose of getting married if I'm not going to have any kids.
No, I'm not saying not have kids. I'm just saying that she gained the weight and it wasn't from kids. Like, let's say y'all haven't had kids yet and she was like, once, let's say she's like, because you like them tall, she's 6 feet, 170. I think that's good for 6 feet. And then now she's 6 feet, 220. You might be looking at her like, what? Why did you add that extra 50 pounds? But you're not going to say anything.
Depending upon her posture, it'll be fine.
Yeah, see, but like I said, a husband's probably not going to say nothing. So it's just shit like that you wouldn't really say as a husband. But this nigga was drunk as fuck and saying all this wild stuff. But it was funny because she was making a drink and kept making the drinks and being all sweet to him. And at the end, he got fucked up for it. But it was just like a husband-wife situation. So it was just shit like that. But he also talked about how he was outside running and he talked about, man, I was on that shit. And so he addressed that. It was just an amazing special.
It was like, oh, nothing's really. It's just like, oh, you didn't think I was going to make fun of myself?
Yeah,
that's
no,
an easy joke.
Yeah. So he definitely got into himself too. So I like shit like that. So if it's going to be something that's comedy, I want you to do something real. And Kevin Hart doesn't ever really address like any of the shit that's going on with him. Not in a real way.
Oh, yeah. He always just kind of, he's always very sanitary in terms of like, I am never the thing. I'm not willing to mock myself. And I feel like every single great comedian is willing to mock themselves at some fundamental degree. Yeah. Because it's just like Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, Bernie Mac to some degree, pretty much everyone that anyone was considered to be a quote unquote important comedian. They were just like, nope. The easiest person to make fun of is me because you can't offend anybody if you make fun of yourself. Yeah. Outside of the short things. Like Kevin Hart is willing to make fun of himself for being short, but he's not
nothing that's real though.
He's not willing to make fun of his own circumstances. It's just like
the car wreck that you had, sir.
It was like, oh, that's easy money. It was like, what'd you do, man?
I was fucked up. Like, just talking about it now, like shit is over. Like, and we all speculate so you could talk about that. Or the whole you in Vegas and being extorted and that whole situation. You can stop the whole friendly fun, oh, I gotta be a good husband angle, which cool. That's very PC and
we know you're a good husband.
Cookie cutter of you. But you could also make fun of yourself and give us a more realistic
I got extorted in Las Vegas sounds like a wonderful comedy bit. Yeah. It's just like it's like you can do a whole 24 thing with timestamps, be like 124.
Yeah, like you could do a great thing, but it just seems like he's too polished or wants to create a too pristine look to like allow it to get to there. And so I don't like that.
And it hasn't really stopped anybody else from hosting the Oscars, probably except for Dave Chappelle, but they probably wouldn't let him in there. That'll be a very interesting Oscar host. It's just like,
I don't think Dave would want to.
It would just be a very interesting thing. It's just like, you guys, sir, you calling the right person? What do you mean? It's like, are you sure you're calling the right person? Yeah, Mr. Chappelle. I'm gonna show up just to figure this out.
Have you seen his last specials? His newest ones?
The YouTube ones?
No, the ones that are on Netflix.
I think I've seen them all, unless they released more since last year.
No, not since last year.
Oh yeah, I've watched them all. Like, yeah, it will just be wildly interesting because it's just like, oh, so all you motherfuckers who stole my show, all in the same room. Don't force laugh. This ain't no joke.
Yeah, no. You don't get to laugh.
Y'all done made enough money off my laughter. This is about to be serious. Grammy with zero jokes. I'm just gonna make fun of all the. I'm gonna make fun of all the films that are winning.
That'd be hilarious. I don't think they'd be happy. This is terrible. Cut it off halfway through.
What do you?
Fast forward to the end just to see it.
It's just like, what are you about to do? I'm about to play 20 questions as soon as they came up here. It's just like, so what's the story about? You don't know what the story's about inside your own movie?
Because I couldn't figure it out either.
I'm not alone then.
This seemed like a love story, but it was a mystery to me. And I would have a great time. I feel like Dave Chappelle should host Oscars. Actually.
Also, you didn't win. It was
actually
he should just start.
I want Dave Chappelle to host the Hip Hop Awards.
Oh, BET Awards or something.
No, not the BET Awards. The Hip Hop Awards.
Oh, I feel like some people will be very upset about that.
Or the Grammys.
Because some people, it's just like, what is album of the year? Goes to Beyonce. She's not even nominated. Goes to Beyonce anyway.
Don't ask me no questions. Have you seen Neil Tyson's special on Netflix?
No, I have not.
It's called the 3 Mic Stand Up. You should watch it. It's really good. Mm-hmm. But I don't think we have anything else to go over.
For the most part. I mean, it's only 2 of us.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we carried it this long, but I guess we've been doing this long enough to the point where we could
get into a conversation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, no Ash, so no second part of the show.
We might do some random just separate thing if we can get her over here one day, but
don't hate us. But this will be the end. Thank you for joining us. This has been Conscious Reconstruction. I am the host with the most, and that is the most host. We're out of here.
Later.